Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How's everybody doing out there today? We are going to jump into another week in review. I'm not sure how long this is going to be, but I have 20 minutes worth of road footage that we can have on there, so we'll jump on in. First thing I would like to say is we have made 5 years in business. It's been 5 years since I made that big old leap into that Schneider finance lease truck and jumped in with Schneider National, choosing my own freight on my telephone. It was a great learning experience. It was a blessing. I'm sitting in that very truck right now. I got her with 228,000 miles on her. Now she has 778,000 miles on her. She's had her ups and downs, but me and ODD, we still trucking together. Yep, 5 years. Time sure does fly. I remember when I first started 5 years ago, I thought to myself, what would it have been like if I was already at the 5 mark? You know, at the 5 year mark. I could have already been where I am now 5 years ago. You know, you always think like that when you're thinking, what if I'd have done this sooner? 5 years from now, I'm hoping and praying I'm going to be in a lot better place than I am now. But in actuality, God is in control. And if you're meant to fail, you'll fail. If you're meant to succeed, you'll succeed. But you do have your work ethic. You do have your fight, your heart. How much heart are you going to put in it? I mean, how bad do you want it? Are you willing to take your lumps? Are you willing to give up? Kings, in my opinion, are not born. Real kings are not born. Okay, if you're going to be a king, you have to earn it, build it, fight for it. You have to prove yourself through the thick and thin if you want to be a real king, a real leader of men. Not everybody can do that. You know, you can try your heart out, but not everybody's going to get to that level. And I have you remember, Jesus is King of Kings. Men, be kings. Be strong. Be fit financially, physically, in all ways. Be that king. But always remember, Jesus is Lord over you. All right, we're going to move on from there. Champ, he's had a couple issues this week. Brand new windshield on the driver's side snapped with the driver sitting still. Curtis was sitting still in the truck and the windshield popped, broke. Dang sure did. I've had it happen too with some of the cheaper glasses. And sad to say, that must be a cheap glass. I will be calling the installers to see if they're going to honor their glass or if they're going to have a better grade glass come out to us or how they're going to handle that. And I'll try to remember to update y'all on that when we go into next week. Champ also is having an air conditioner control issue. Like, you can do certain things with the knobs and it'll just blow hot air or cold, but it'll still blow cold air. We're going to check the Freon and everything, but I'm pretty sure it's in the control mechanism itself. So hopefully we can get that fixed so Curtis don't get out there and get hot in the truck. You know, it's not, it's one thing that'd make me drag up quick is if you don't have me a truck with cruise control, a truck with power steering, which I have drove them without, and a truck with air conditioner. I'm going to have those three things or I'm going to drag up. That's just the way it is. You know, it's a driver comfort issue. All right, next thing we're going to talk about is, let's jump on Max right now. Max has got a couple issues. He's got a shimmy in the front end. We got to fix that, but that'll be next week. But we did put some shocks on him this week, $400 for Max's shocks. And, you know, he's only got a single axle, so ouch, that hurt. But he supposedly is running a little better today, a little smoother. And one of my trailers, the lift gate switch, quit working. We went and got one yesterday, and that sucker was over $100. They didn't have but 3. I mean, they didn't have but one. They had 3 a couple of days ago, but they've been selling them. And, well, over $100 for that switch. Still ain't got it installed. Old Timer's going to install it this evening when he gets back. He's going to beat me back. Next thing I want to discuss is Uber. They pulled a quick one yesterday. First time they've done this to me. You know, they have their bidding option on the Uber app. They had this load that I have seen go for $2,600, $2,700. And, well, they put it up. It's like 4 days before that load actually pulled yesterday when I was looking at it. And they had it listed for $1,985. And so I bid on it. I bid on it for $2,200. I figured I was kind of pushing them a little bit going for $22. And there was a load that left later on that day at like 8 o'clock that went for, they had it listed at $2,085. Okay? Keep that in mind. $2,085. They called me. Yeah, that's right. Uber called me to discuss my bid on their load. Which is okay. I don't mind so much. But they called me and told me that $2,000 was their max. They couldn't go over $2,000. They was wondering if I'd come down to $2,000. I said, no, 21 is as low as I'll go. And he said, no, hold on, let me talk to myself. He pulled the supervisor, pulled the whole, we're losing money on it thing. And I finally told him, I said, look, cuz, there's one on the board for $2,085. It just leaves a little later. If I want to, I will pull that one. But I didn't want to because it delivered on the day after the day of the other one. Anyway, I had my reason, and it was the delivery time. The reason why I didn't want that particular load. All right, so I did not get that particular load because what they did is they went and they lowered the amount of the load that left later. I lowered my bid down to $2,100, but I really wasn't that worried about it either way because I had Deadhead to go get that load. That was the big booger of the situation. Is we had Deadhead. If we would have went and got that load, it paid pretty good by the mile, but my Deadhead was 169 miles in order to get to the load. So it's one of them deals. I'm gonna get my rate or I ain't gonna fool with it. So what we ended up doing, we got him a load, and Curtis is gonna be leaving out on Sunday and headed up toward Ohio. So we covered it. It was just funny to me how Uber did, how they called me and they wanted to negotiate that rate that I was shooting for. It was kind of different to negotiate with Uber, and I mean, the guy barely spoke English. You could tell he was struggling. But it was just one of the things that I was gonna get my rate or I wasn't gonna pull it anyhow. All right, now we're gonna move on past Uber since I got interrupted. There was a phone call there. If y'all noticed a little split in the audio, I had a phone call come in the middle of the video, and somebody's been text messaging me while I'm trying to make the video, so I don't know if I'm getting some little disturbances. Anyway, the next thing we're going to talk about is the flatbed. We actually got one flatbed load on Saturday. We got it all loaded up, and the bells were so big we had to get us an oversized permit for Mississippi in order to be able to haul it. I mean, we stretched a little oversized thing on the front. We put the flashing lights on the back, and we did all of that hoopla so we could pull that load on Saturday up to the paper mill. We get up to the paper mill, and we sat there for 10 hours. No other trucks came in behind us. But we get there, and I reckon the people that work in the mill quit working in the mill. Because once they shift changed at 7 o'clock, they started moving trucks out again. And I got home around midnight that night. It was well ridiculous. I was not happy about it at all. But we got paid for the load, and we're going to get paid for a detention on that load. The next loads that we take this coming weekend will go to a different mill. This mill will be down in Louisiana, I have not took scrap paper to it. We're going to have to stack it on the trailer different. Something's going to have to give, because the $100 was the amount of the permit in Mississippi. Louisiana wants $500 for a permit, and $2,500 if you're going to be overweight. Check that out. That's a lot. Aye. And then, I wasn't wanting to spend no more than what we had already talked about, because that's a little on the ridiculous side to me. The loads ain't paying me but $3.50 per load. I'm hoping to get 2 of them on Saturday, because this mill's supposed to move a lot quicker. It's only 75 miles to this new mill. It was 54 miles over to the one in Mississippi. So I got $300 for Mississippi. I'm only going to charge him $3.50 for this one that we're going to on Saturday, because it's a buddy deal. You're helping out your friend. You're trying to get some things done, because every flatbedder that told him they were going to come pull a load didn't. Or if they did, they didn't come back for load number 2, because the mill he was going to was ridiculous. It was crazy. You're going to sit there 10 hours? Who's going to sit there for that long just for $300? Nobody. Nobody in their right mind is going to try to run their business like that. Plus, it's hot and you got to idle the truck. Man, no. That ain't even cool. And you got to throw over like 12 straps, roll them back up and all that. Man, no. It really wasn't going to be worth it. So, but I am learning a lot about the flatbedding and the trailer widths, the 96 and the 102s. And I've got a buddy that's a broker, and we're talking about the types of trailers that work better and they have more options for, more freight in my area. And if you ask me, they're a little strict on what they do, but I guess in some types of hauling you got to be real strict, and you got to really know what you're doing. That's why I'm not in no big rush to start getting a headache rack on my truck, because I'm not 100% sure that that's the direction I want to go. And I'm not 100% sure that this truck is the direction that I want to go with the flatbed. I may take this truck and park it or auction it off or something. I don't know yet. There are options. I'm leaning toward an older truck, a 90s model. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet, but that's the way I personally am leaning. Alright, so that's about all that we went through this week so far. It's been a pretty decent week. Curtis has been running hard. Old Timer's making his loads. DD's still running good. We got one more day to go. Alright, I wanted to touch on a topic about truck value. One of my friends has been putting a lot of money into his truck, and he is afraid that it's a depreciating asset, and he's gonna lose money over time. Here's the way I look at it. I hope he's listening. If you're putting money into a truck, it only depreciates if you plan on selling it. If you're planning on having that resale value. If it's a piece of equipment that you plan on repairing and running for the foreseeable future, don't even think about depreciation. It is an asset. It is how you make your money. If I'm planning on driving a truck, you can rebuild that truck from nose to tail and have basically a new truck. There's no law on the books that I know of that says you cannot run an older truck. There are laws saying that you can't put older stuff in newer trucks. Like you can't take a DD15 out with all the exhaust stuff and put a Series 60 Detroit in there without all the exhaust stuff. That would be trying to circumvent the system, basically making a glider out of a truck that already had the stuff installed. But a proper glider is a rolling chassis that you put the stuff in, so you're coming from the factory without the junk in it. Now this EPA garbage with these drip systems and all this exhaust stuff ain't worth it. That's just my opinion. And until they pass a law saying that we can't run older trucks, I'm leaning toward getting older trucks and rebuilding them from stem to stern. Painting them whatever colors I want, making them nice, putting APUs on them rascals, as long as it don't have the DEF and that exhaust system on it. I don't even care about the E-logs are good. I mean, I like the E-logs. You can get your IFTA from it. You can keep up with your drivers better. They're not skirting the system. The DOT don't mess with you as bad. I don't mind the E-logs as far as that goes. I'm not trying to get around E-logs by getting older trucks. What I would be trying to do is get around the exhaust systems and the drip systems, because they're stupid. They add a whole nother level of expense to your ride. You can go get an older Peterbilt with a Series 60 Detroit or a big old cat in there and run that sucker from now on. If it fails, you put another motor in there and you keep on rolling. That's what I'm leaning toward doing. That's not something that everybody can do. I have a little bit, tiny bit of mechanical knowledge, and that has helped me thus far. Whenever you run older trucks, you need to have a little bit of mechanical knowledge. You need to know how long will this run before causing me a record bill, and so forth and so on. You can't fix every little thing on a truck and expect to stay in business, because a truck will bleed you dry. If it's safe and you can still run it for a little while, run it. If it's unsafe and it needs to be fixed, fix it immediately. Don't take chances with safety. Brakes and tires and airlines, you gotta keep them things up. An engine can quit on you, you can ease it to the side. A transmission can quit on you, and you'll be lucky to coast to the side. But you don't want an automatic in an older truck, because they're not as good as the newer automatics. If you're wanting an automatic, you're going to have to stay with the newer trucks, with the drip systems and stuff. The 10 speeds are way simpler, way easier to work on. You can pop that sucker in neutral and drag it. These new automatic trucks, you have to disconnect the drive shaft and stuff before you drag that truck behind a wrecker. There's a lot of different aspects you need to look at before you get a truck, before you make those decisions. Even on trailers, if you can get away with a spring ride trailer, I recommend getting a spring ride, because air systems can be finicky. They can have little air holes and stuff like that. So when you put a spring ride trailer, you take a system out. You take one system away that might put you beside the road, and that is the airbags. It will ride a little rougher. It will sound like crap when you go over railroad tracks. It's just part of the game. But if you can make it work and make it make you money, your trailer's going to be a little cheaper, and it'll be one less thing to tear up. When you're buying these trucks, I know power stuff, power windows, power locks, all that is great, power windows, but you know, those things tear up and can cost you money down the road. Simplify the game. Uncomplicate your life is what I'm saying. You can keep putting money into a truck as long as you're going to keep it. Don't worry about the depreciation. That's my opinion. If you're planning on selling it or getting out of it, you run it until you get ready to sell it. And we're going to end this video with a verse. Matthew 11:28. Come to me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Your journey will not be easy. Your journey will have ups and downs, hills and valleys, thorns and all things bad, and there will be good times. Focus on the good times and keep pushing forward. Lean on the Lord when things are their worst. I can't make your journey any easier, but He can. Read His book. Live His word. God bless each and every one of you, far and beyond your wildest dreams. We'll catch y'all on the next ride.